Katy Perry jumped out of the aircraft and kissed the ground in a painfully cringe moment that has been roasted online.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel?
I feel super connected to love.
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Look at us. We're very wealthy. Don't we look great? Admire us.
Katy Perry didn't just go to space. She came back expecting headlines, applause, maybe even legacy-defining praise.
6 women just did the same flight that...
Yeah.
He didn't.
Oh, I just want to keep hugging you.
Lots of other people in the media were embarrassing themselves during this ordeal. Oprah Winfrey actually wept as she watched the all-female team launch into space.
And think about how many resources went into putting these women into space. For what? I'm disgusted, literally.
But instead, she landed in the middle of a pop culture roast, one she never signed up for. Just days after returning from her Blue Origin flight, The Simpsons aired an episode that took her starry-eyed journey and turned it into a nationally syndicated meme. And Katy, she wasn't laughing.
I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space.
The crew who flew in space this week on an automated flight by Blue Origin were glam. But you cannot identify as an astronaut.
The episode featured Casey Cherry, a glittery blue-haired pop star who boards a billionaire-backed spaceflight to escape Earth's negative vibes.
Whoever came up with this title, give this guy a freaking raise. Tell me how this is not awesome. Astronaut.
I'm much better now that the ladies are back from space.
What were they up there, 10 minutes?
Let's not minimize this. Let's celebrate female astronauts.
That's the other thing. There has been female astronauts. Let's not minimize this.
She delivers emotional monologues about reconnecting with her truth, cries in Zero, Gravity, while promoting a lip gloss brand, and ends her journey by declaring she's now famous on a galactic level.
You look ridiculous. Everybody looks ridiculous. This isn't a moment for feminism. That's a dick rocket that was designed, flown, and paid for by men, and you are simply baggage on that rocket. That's all it is.
Astronaut. Conspiracy theories swirl about Katy Perry's fake Blue Origin space mission.
It wasn't subtle. It wasn't clever. It was brutal. What really made it sting? They didn't just mock her. They mimicked her. The cadence of her voice, the poses, even exact phrasing from her post-flight interviews. The character wasn't inspired by Katy. It was Katy. Just animated, exaggerated, and stripped of all sincerity.
Just show the legendary landing real quick, Rob. This is such a beautiful moment. This may be greater than us landing. Look at it. Look at the way it lands to the ground. None of them break their backs. Look at this. Watch. Wow.
Southwest Airlines, that's just like that. See,
it's a freaking music. It's awesome.
Someone went to space for like 4 minutes. What is she kissing the ground for? Pointing up at the sky.
Katy! Woo!
And to the guy, woo, Katy, yeah. Dumb, bro.
Within 72 hours, Katy's legal team issued a formal cease and desist to Fox, demanding the episode be pulled from streaming and retracted from future broadcasts. But that was just the warning shot. What followed was a full-scale defamation lawsuit. Being prepared, one that claimed unauthorized likeness, reputational damage, and malicious intent masked as parody. Sources inside her legal circle say Katy felt personally attacked. The parody didn't just mock a moment, it destroyed what she saw as a deeply vulnerable chapter of her life. This wasn't just a joke that landed wrong, it was a joke that hit something real.
What I thought is when there's people starving in other countries and we're clapping and cheering. Like, bro, this is wild. And then Katy Perry steps out, starts kissing the ground. Bro, the stories write themselves. Like, we are living in a Black Mirror episode. Like, what is this, bro? Yeah.
Which one is this, Rob? Tell us.
This is the door being opened from the inside.
Watch this.
What's gonna come out of?
They're not supposed to open the door yet.
Her.
Look, they're like, close the door.
No, not yet. Jeff Bezos out there right by the capsule, kind of hard to see. That is
I have to
correct.
pee.
That is Jeff Bezos, our founder.
He has to step up with the official doohickey thing.
The moment news of the lawsuit broke, the internet did what it always does, picked sides. Some cheered her on, praising Katy for standing up to lazy satire and protecting her legacy. They saw it as brave. A woman drawing a boundary in a world that constantly turns female vulnerability into viral entertainment. But others rolled their eyes. She can't take a joke. Why is she suing a cartoon? Celebs always want to be celebrated, but never want to be roasted. And worse, even some of her own fans weren't sure what to say. Suddenly, Katy's emotional post-flight videos were being stitched into memes. Not by haters, but by former stans. What would you do if your biggest personal moment got turned into a global meme overnight? Would you stay quiet or fight back with lawyers like Katy did? Drop your real take below.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You are officially an astronaut.
Bro.
Stop the cap. Stupid.
Let me tell you right now, Katy, you're officially an astronaut.
I guess I'm a freaking brain surgeon then. I couldn't believe, wow. I can't believe she even said. How do you even format your lips to say something so stupid?
Now here's the part that no one's saying out loud, but it's in the comments, in the think pieces, and in every quiet group chat. By reacting this way, did Katy just validate everything the parody was mocking? Because the episode didn't just mock her flight. It mocked the idea of using a profound experience as a brand campaign. And now that she's fighting back with a lawsuit, some people are asking, is she really defending herself or trying to control how we feel about her story? If the parody hadn't landed so close to the truth, would it even hurt this much?
I'm going to tell you something right now. You are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel?
I feel super connected to love.
This is so tough. However, there's been some critics saying some stuff in it.
Really?
Rob, I don't know if you have any of the critic stuff or not. Do you have any of the stuff on how they open a door first and then they have to reopen the door and they have to say, go back in there, and then Jeff Bezos falls. Poor guy's tripping. He's having a hard time.
This was supposed to be a turning point for Katy Perry, a pivot from pop stardom to something bigger. She had the chance to become more than an entertainer. A figure, a symbol of transformation, growth, and modern reinvention. Instead, her name is now trending for suing a cartoon. What was meant to elevate her into a new stratosphere has dragged her right back into the old internet spotlight. One where public perception isn't about intention, it's about impact. And right. Now, the impact is messy. Whether she wins the lawsuit or not, the damage has been done.
I gotcha. Oh, the moon! You guys, I will have to tell you, look at the moon.
Doing a whole bunch of nothing.
For us watching her.
Look, I brought my little butterfly.
After Katy's legal team filed the defamation suit, there was a moment of eerie quiet. The Simpsons didn't respond on social media. No press release, no quirky cartoon posted to Instagram, just complete silence. But behind that silence, power was moving. Insiders at Fox said legal teams were immediately activated, not just to defend the episode, but to defend the legacy of satire itself. Because this wasn't just about Katy. This was about precedent. If The Simpsons lost, or even settled, it would mean that celebrities could start legally censoring comedy. And for a show that's mocked presidents, royalty, entire religions, that was not going to happen without a fight. Sources say Katy's team doubled down. They wanted edits, removals, and acknowledgement, but The Simpsons wasn't backing down. Quietly, they were preparing to go public, but on their terms, and the industry knew it was about to get messy.
Rob, what else you got? Because there's a bunch of them.
I have Gayle King claiming that it was sexist.
Go ahead and play this clip. Go ahead, Rob.
I don't like that people are calling it a ride. A ride, you never see a male astronaut who's going up in space and they said, oh, he took a ride. We actually duplicated the route that Alan Shepard did. That's why it's called, this particular capsule is called the New Shepard. We duplicated that route. No one said he took that ride.
Yeah.
It's always referred to as a flight or a journey. So I feel that that's a little disrespectful to what the mission was and what the work that Blue Origin
was. They went on
space technology.
At first, the internet was split. Some people backed Katy, tired of seeing women mocked for expressing emotion, tired of comedy being used to punch down. But the longer the silence stretched, the more the tone shifted. Because when The Simpsons didn't fight back, The internet did it for them. Commentators posted full breakdowns of the episode, defending it frame by frame. Reaction videos trended with titles like "Katy Perry Can't Handle a Joke" and "Why the Simpsons Were Dead On." Reddit threads popped up questioning whether Katy's lawsuit was a genuine move or a calculated PR stunt to keep her name in the headlines after the flight hype died down. The narrative began to flip, and suddenly, Katy didn't look empowered. She looked thin-skinned. Even worse, some fans started resharing older clips, interviews where Katy got emotional, moments where she clapped back too hard. One viral tweet said, "Katy's not mad about The Simpsons. She's mad because it was accurate."
Look, I understand that it started a lot of conversations, and he was one of many collaborators that I collaborated with.
Then, quietly, The Simpsons responded, but not in a courtroom. Instead of issuing a statement, they released a second short, a 90-second animated clip on social media. No character names, no direct quotes, just a cartoon pop star in a space. Suit reading a cease and desist letter while her spaceship drifts toward a planet labeled Irrelevance. No words were spoken. The message was crystal clear, and the internet lost it. The post hit 1 million views in under 3 hours. Commenters called it the most savage move of the year. Even celebrities liked the post. A few pop peers who'd once worked with Katy, now suspiciously silent about the lawsuit, suddenly became very vocal. That clip didn't just roast her, it ended the silence, and it pushed Katy's team into full crisis mode.
And think about how many resources went into putting these women into space. For what? I'm disgusted, literally.
Once The Simpsons fired back, the wall started closing in. Networks, sponsors, award shows, streaming platforms. Katy's team had been quietly pitching a documentary project about her space journey, part music doc, part legacy piece. It was supposed to be inspiring, empowering. But after the legal headlines exploded and the satire war made her look unrelatable, a major streamer reportedly pulled out. Another branded partnership was paused until the matter is resolved. Suddenly, it wasn't just about one joke. It was about whether Katy Perry was still safe to support because lawsuits come and go. But controversy? That sticks. And the second your name becomes shorthand for can't take criticism, people start walking away. Quietly, professionally, permanently.
My gladiator tie off. Maximus. Look at that. My back would have been shattered. You see it? How sick is that? Right? Just like it's motivating.
When Katy Perry announced her Blue Origin spaceflight, it was pitched as something iconic. Not just a celebrity flex, but a story of exploration, evolution, and self-reflection. It was marketed like a rebrand, a comeback, a new era. And for a minute, it worked. She gave interviews about how seeing Earth from space changed her, posted emotional videos, spoke about the importance of perspective. The public was intrigued, some inspired, but once The Simpsons aired their episode and Katy filed the lawsuit, everything changed. What once looked like a spiritual milestone now looked like a marketing play. What once read as vulnerability now read as vanity. Instead of evolving into a modern symbol, Katy started looking like a celebrity clinging to relevance and punishing anyone who dared poke fun at her path. People didn't just disagree with the lawsuit. They started turning on her entirely.
Flynn, I gotcha.
The scariest part for any celebrity? When your fans go quiet. And that's exactly what started happening. Stan accounts stopped posting their usual edits. Engagement on her inspirational space captions dropped. Her diehard supporters, the ones who rode for her during the Witness era, during Smile, even through the backlash from American Idol, suddenly weren't showing up. Some defended her, but many just stepped back. Not in anger, in exhaustion. Because defending someone who sues satire, that's hard, especially when the parody feels so close to the truth. Even worse, former Stan started stitching her post-flight interviews with clips from the Simpsons episode, not to attack her, but to ask if they still believed her. And when your own fanbase starts doubting your sincerity, the damage isn't trending. It's deep. If your fave was being roasted and mocked everywhere, would you keep defending them? Or would you step back if they started looking out of touch? Drop your honest answer below, because Katy's stans are clearly split. Media outlets are usually predictable when it comes to celebrity lawsuits. A few factual reports, maybe a snarky headline. Then they move on. But with Katy, they didn't move on. Major outlets started framing her not as a star under fire, but as a star who brought the fire to herself. Headlines got colder, think pieces went viral. Katy Perry versus satire, why some icons lose gracefully and others lawyer up. The Blue Origin ego trip, when space isn't enough to save a career. The worst part? Some of those pieces weren't written by haters. They were written by writers who used to defend her. It wasn't an attack. It was abandonment. That's what makes this different. From a scandal, this isn't one mistake being blown up. This is years of slow decline finally snapping, and the press deciding they've seen enough. Media outlets are usually predictable when it comes to celebrity lawsuits. A few factual reports, maybe a snarky headline. Then they move on. But with Katy, they didn't move on. Major outlets started framing her not as a star under fire, but as a star who brought the fire to herself. Headlines got colder, think pieces went viral. Katy Perry versus satire, why some icons lose gracefully and others lawyer up. The Blue Origin ego trip, when space isn't enough to save a career. The worst part? Some of those pieces weren't written by haters. They were written by writers who used to defend her. It wasn't an attack. It was abandonment. That's what makes this different. From a scandal, this isn't one mistake being blown up. This is years of slow decline finally snapping, and the press deciding they've seen enough. The real consequences weren't online. They were in boardrooms. A fragrance launch Katy was scheduled to announce, themed around her spaceflight and titled Altitude, was reportedly shelved indefinitely. Marketing plans were already in motion. Samples had been sent, but after the lawsuit hit the news and public backlash followed, insiders say the brand politely stepped back. Another rumored partnership, a streaming miniseries on her journey, also lost momentum. Sources say executives feared the tone of the project could come off as tone-deaf, even if it was well-produced. No one wanted to gamble on a celebrity who had suddenly become a lightning rod for ridicule. And just like that, the legacy moment Katy had built her comeback around, it started collapsing on itself. Not with a bang, but with cold, polite silence. In every scandal, there's a moment where the internet stops asking what happened and starts asking who a person has become. Katy Perry isn't being asked, "Why did you sue?" anymore. She's being asked, "Why did you think this would work?" People aren't criticizing the lawsuit. They're questioning her judgment, her sincerity, her sense of reality. Is she still the playful rebel who wore whipped cream bras and shot fireworks from her chest? Or is she now someone too concerned with optics, image, and legacy to laugh at herself anymore? And that's the tragedy of this whole moment. Katy wanted to ascend. Instead, she got dragged back down by a cartoon, a few viral memes, and a decision to fight a battle most people thought she should have just walked past. Now she's not floating in space. She's sinking in it. Now that the lawsuit has played out in headlines, and The Simpsons has dropped its silent but savage response, there's a new tone in the air. Not chaos, not noise, just silence. The kind of silence that happens when the media moves on, when fans look the other way, when Hollywood politely stops returning calls. Katy Perry isn't trending anymore. She's just lingering. In the aftermath of a legal move that didn't protect her legacy, it shook it. And for someone who built an empire out of volume, color, sound, spectacle, this quiet, it's brutal. Here's what Katy's team is reportedly discussing behind closed doors now. The space-themed documentary, paused. The fragrance line, off the calendar. Her next album, no release window, no narrative, no story left to build it around. The question now isn't whether Katy wins or loses in court. It's whether she still has a story the public wants to hear. The only way out of this moment is through one thing: reinvention. Not in the visual sense, not wigs and aliens and candy canes, but something deeper, real, emotional, uncomfortable. Katy would have to drop the act completely and speak from the middle of the fallout, not as a polished icon, as a person, because if she doesn't show us who she really is now, without the performance, someone else will write her story for her, and she won't like how that version ends. There's another option Katy's team is considering: silence, disappearance, pulling back from music, from media, from everything. Let the meme die, let the spaceflight fade. Let the internet forget why it was mad. Some of her closest advisors believe this is the smartest path, that if she keeps pushing, keeps trying to shift the narrative, it'll only cement the parody deeper. But if she lets go, waits a year, maybe two, she might come back as something else, something stronger, something unwritten, because the truth is comebacks only work when they're earned. And right now, Katy isn't in a place to demand one. She's in a place to wait for it. If your legacy was being mocked, would you fight every day to protect it? Or would you step back and wait for the world to rediscover your truth on its own? drop your answer, because this is the kind of crossroads most people never prepare for. This isn't a cancellation. Katy Perry hasn't been taken down. She's not being blacklisted or erased. What's happening is worse. She's being passed over. Pop culture doesn't need to destroy someone for them to fade. It just needs to replace them. And right now, there are 10 other rising stars willing to laugh at themselves, roll with the jokes, and keep the momentum moving. While Katy is tied up in legal filings and image damage control, and if she doesn't get ahead of this moment, she won't be remembered as the star who flew to space. She'll be remembered as the one who sued a cartoon and lost the room forever. But here's the twist. Katy Perry has survived worse. She's been written off before. They called her done after Prism, they mocked Witness, they laughed at her left shark moment, her live performances, her reality TV era, and every time, she crawled back. Maybe not to chart-topping glory, but to relevance, to impact, to art that mattered to someone. So maybe this isn't the end. Maybe this is just the moment before the real comeback begins. But it won't come through press releases. It won't come through lawyers. It'll come when Katy's ready to drop the performance and finally let us see the person behind the pop star, the rocket suit, and the lawsuit. That's her only way forward now. Not up, not out, but in. Now it's your turn. Is Katy Perry headed for a quiet fade? Or is this just the messy middle before her greatest reinvention yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know which side you're on. And if you loved this deep dive, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell, because when the next celeb blows up or breaks down, we'll be right here, ready to spill every last drop. Stay curious, stay chaotic, and keep sipping that tea.